Right now, as you watch this, there is a voice in your head. It's commenting on what I just said. It's maybe judging the way I look, or thinking about something you have to do later, or wondering where I'm going with this. You didn't ask for that voice. You didn't turn it on. It just started, probably before you were old enough to question it. And here is the question that has haunted philosophers, monks, and scientists for thousands of years. Who is listening to that voice? Because if you can hear your thoughts, if you can observe them, judge them, get tired of them, then you cannot be those thoughts. There must be something else, something behind them, something that watches. Today, we are going to go deep into one of the most liberating ideas in all of philosophy. You are not your thoughts, you are the one who notices them. And once you truly understand that, not intellectually, but in your bones, it changes everything. The inner voice. Let me introduce you to someone you already know very well. The voice in your head. It narrates your life like a commentator who was never hired and cannot be fired. It replays conversations from 3 years ago and rewrites them better. It rehearses arguments with people who are not in the room. It whispers that you are not good enough, not ready enough, not thin enough, not successful enough. It worries, constantly, about things that have not happened, about things that will never happen. The neuroscientist and philosopher Sam Harris describes this voice as something that simply talks, and most of us spend our entire lives mistaking this talking for thinking. But here is what is strange. Have you ever caught your mind mid-thought and said, "Wait, where did that come from?" You did not decide to think that thought. It arrived, like weather. The philosopher Immanuel Kant made a distinction that matters here. He separated the phenomenal self, the self you experience, the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, from something deeper, the self that does the experiencing, the observer, the witness. You are not the weather, you are the sky. The weather passes through, clouds come, storms come. The sky does not become the storm, it simply holds it. Your thoughts are the weather, but for most people, for most of their lives, they have never been told this. So they identify completely with every passing cloud. Every anxious thought becomes their anxiety. Every angry thought becomes their anger. Every self-critical thought becomes their truth. And that is one of the most painful cases of mistaken identity in human history. OVRTHINKING. Now let us talk about what happens when you believe every thought you have. You overthink. Overthinking is not thinking too much. That is a common misunderstanding. Overthinking is identifying too deeply with your thoughts, treating every thought as if it is real, urgent, and requires a response. The mind left unobserved does not rest. It loops, it spirals, it catastrophizes. It takes one neutral event, someone didn't reply to your message, and constructs an entire story. They are angry, they hate you. You said something wrong, the relationship is over. None of that happened. A story happened. A chain of thoughts happened. And because you believed you were those thoughts, you felt the emotions of a story that existed entirely inside your skull. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the most influential thinkers in history, said something radical for his time. He said, "Men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things." Read that again carefully. He is not saying your problems are not real. He is saying that most of your suffering is not caused by events. It is caused by the thoughts you have about events. It is caused by the story the inner voice spins around reality. Your colleague gave you a cold look this morning. That is the event. The event is neutral. Then the voice begins, "She doesn't respect me, I must have done something, they're going to let me go, I'm going to lose everything," and now you are suffering. Not because of the look, because of the story. The modern philosopher and cognitive scientist Daniel Dennett calls the mind a narrative machine. It doesn't experience reality directly. It constructs a story about reality and then lives inside that story. and most of us never step outside the story long enough to realize it is a story. Overthinking is what happens when you are trapped inside the narrative, with no exit. Philosophy, and as we will see, certain spiritual traditions, offer you the exit door. Consciousness vs. the mind. This is where it gets philosophically deep. Stay with me. There is a crucial difference between your mind and your consciousness. Most people use these words interchangeably. They are not the same thing. Your mind is the content, the thoughts, the memories, the anxieties, the plans, the self-criticism, the daydreams. The mind is the stream of mental activity. It is constantly producing, constantly narrating, constantly reacting. Your consciousness is the space in which that content appears. Think of it this way. You are watching a film. The film has drama, fear, love, tragedy. But the screen on which the film is projected does not become afraid during the scary scene. The screen is not sad when the character dies. The screen simply holds whatever appears on it completely, without resistance, without becoming it. Consciousness is the screen. The mind is the film. The philosopher René Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore I am." His point was that thinking proves existence, but many philosophers since have challenged what he got wrong. He conflated the thinker with the thought. He assumed that because there is thinking, the thinking is the self. The British philosopher Derek Parfit spent decades arguing that the self is not what we think it is, that what we call I is not a unified, solid thing, but a bundle of experiences, a process, not an entity. And neuroscience is increasingly agreeing. Brain imaging studies show that thoughts arise before you are consciously aware of them. Your brain generates a thought, and then, slightly later, you experience it as your thought. The thought was already happening before you knew about it. Which raises a staggering question. If the thought happened before you were aware of it, who chose it? The honest answer is, no one. Thoughts arise the same way weather arises, through conditions, through chemistry, through prior causes. They are not chosen by a sovereign self. They simply appear. And if you did not choose them, you are not responsible for having them. You are only responsible for what you do with them. This is not just philosophy. This is liberation. Stoicism and Buddhism, two of the most sophisticated traditions in human history, arrived at almost exactly the same insight, from completely different directions. And they arrived there 2,500 years ago. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, built their entire philosophy on a single distinction. They called it the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us. Some things are not up to us. What is up to us? Only three things: our judgments, our intentions, and our responses. Everything else, including the thoughts that arise in our mind, is not fully within our control. Marcus Aurelius, who was the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, wrote in his private journal, The Meditations, a book he never intended anyone to read, these words: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Notice what he is and is not saying. He is not saying you control your mind completely. He is saying you have power over it. There is a difference. Power over something means you can observe it, redirect it, choose not to obey it. It does not mean you can silence it. The Stoic practice was therefore not to eliminate thought, but to examine thought, to hold each thought up to the light and ask, is this true? Is this useful? Is this something I choose to act on or something I choose to let pass? The Buddhists went even further. The Buddha taught a concept called anatta, non-self. The idea that what we call I is not a fixed, permanent entity but a collection of ever-changing processes. Thoughts, sensations, perceptions, all of these arise and pass away. None of them is you. Clinging to them as if they are you is, in the Buddha's teaching, the root of all suffering. Buddhist meditation practice is essentially training in this one skill, learning to observe your thoughts without becoming them. You sit. A thought arises: I'm bored, my knee hurts, I wonder what's for dinner. And instead of following the thought into a story, you simply note it, thinking, and return. Not suppression, not elimination, just observation. The Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh described thoughts as guests arriving at a guest house. You are the host. Guests arrive, you receive them. You do not invite them to move in permanently. They come, they sit, they leave. What is extraordinary is that a Roman emperor and an Indian prince, separated by centuries and continents, arrived at the same essential practice. You are not the guest. You are the guest house. How to apply this? So how do you actually use this? Because philosophy that stays in the head helps no one. Practice 1. Name the thought, don't become it. When an anxious thought arises, instead of saying, I am anxious, which fuses you with the thought, say, there is anxiety here, or I notice I am having the thought that something will go wrong. This tiny linguistic shift creates distance. You are no longer the storm. You are the one who noticed the storm. Cognitive therapy has used this technique for decades. It is called diffusion, separating the observer from the thought, and it works. Practice 2. The Stoic Morning Audit. Marcus Aurelius began every day by asking himself, what thoughts will arise in me today that are not mine to obey? He anticipated the inner voice, the complaints, the fears, the irritations, and decided in advance not to be governed by them. You can do the same. Spend 5 minutes each morning writing down the thoughts most likely to trouble you that day. Name them before they arrive. Named thoughts lose half their power. Practice 3. Meditative observation. You do not need to be a Buddhist monk. You need 10 minutes. Sit still, close your eyes, watch your thoughts the way you would watch clouds from a window. When a thought comes, do not chase it, do not fight it. Simply notice thinking, and return to your breath. That return, that moment of catching yourself and coming back, is the practice. Every time you do it, you are strengthening the muscle of the observer. Practice 4. Ask who is watching. This comes from the Vedantic tradition, from the philosopher Ramana Maharshi, who taught a simple self-inquiry. Whenever you are overwhelmed by a thought or emotion, ask, who is experiencing this? Trace it back. You will find that the one who notices the thought cannot itself be a thought. And in that gap, however small, there is a freedom that no circumstance can touch. I want to leave you with something. You have been carrying a voice in your head for as long as you can remember. It has called you names. It has predicted disasters that never came. It has replayed your failures and talked you out of your dreams. And at some point, probably very early, someone told you, or no one corrected you, and so you assumed, that voice is me. It is not you. It is something arising in you. The way pain arises in a body without being the body. The way music arises in a room without being the room. The Stoics said, examine your thoughts, do not obey them blindly. The Buddhists said, observe your thoughts, do not cling to them. The philosophers said, you are not the content of consciousness, you are consciousness itself. And I am saying this, the moment you create even a millimeter of space between yourself and your inner voice, you are free. Not free from the voice. It will keep talking, but free from the authority you have been handing it your entire life. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. And that one, that quiet, steady, watching presence, has never once been broken by anything the voice has said. I'll see you in the next one.